Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. Today, our show is Lighthouse of Oakland County. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask. Today, our show is Lighthouse of Oakland County, and we have the CEO himself, John Zeraldo. Hi, John.
Hi, Marcia.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Now, John, we're in the middle of a holiday season that no one would believe, and we always try to pick out an organization that someone has not heard about or more or less has something wonderful to express to the communities at large. So tell us about yourself and Lighthouse of Oakland County.
I'd be happy to. I'm the CEO at Lighthouse. I've been at Lighthouse just a year and a half, but the organization is much older than that. We began in 1972. We work in Oakland County, mostly the northern half of the county. Our main office is in Pontiac, and we've got a satellite office in Clarkston. Lighthouse is a place where people come when they're faced with a crisis. And both our paid staff and our volunteers sit down with folks in need and try to help them through that crisis to move toward self-sufficiency.
Okay. Now, you guys have been in existence since 72.
That's right.
And so you're the new president.
I am.
Okay.
Noreen Keating, who'd been our CEO for almost 25 years, retired just last year, and I was very excited to become part of Lighthouse.
Wow.
It's a very interesting place. Marcia, both our staff and our volunteers come with a great deal of caring and enthusiasm for helping people in need. And so it's an exciting place to go to work every day.
Okay. Now, so you say you handle the northern part of Oakland County?
Yes, we actually serve the entire county, but because our offices are in Pontiac and in Clarkston, most of the folks who come to us tend to live in the northern half of the county.
Okay, so give us a little history now. What does Lighthouse actually do for people?
We work in three main areas. We provide emergency assistance to families and individuals. The second area of our work is a transitional housing program for homeless women and children. And the third area is community development. We're helping to strengthen and rebuild neighborhoods in Pontiac and actually now even in Ferndale.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, now, how does one really know that you exist?
People come through all different means. Folks will hear from a neighbor or a friend who's come to us before for help. Other agencies frequently turn to us because we can provide some kinds of assistance that others can't. And we've been around a long enough time that we're kind of an institution in the community. So churches and businesses and other organizations are aware of us and know that when they run into someone in need, that Lighthouse is a place they can turn.
That's wonderful. That's really nice. Okay. Now, do your clients come back? Do you consider them clients, customers? What are the individuals that come to you?
The folks come. So some of the people that we serve will come only once, and we'll be able to help them through a difficult period of time, and then they move on with their life. Many of those folks will write or call and say thanks. There are people that we work with over longer periods of time as well. Our real intent is not just to deal with that immediate need that brings folks to our door, but to help deal with the root cause of the problem. At Lighthouse, we're fond of saying that hunger is a symptom of a problem, and we want to deal with that symptom. Lighthouse does provide lots of folks with help with emergency food when that's the need. But we also help them to understand what else is going on in their life that led to that particular crisis and to try to address that as well.
Okay, so your staff consists of social workers and counselors or anything like that?
I would say no. You know, the vast majority of our work is done by trained volunteers.
Okay.
We have about 60 employees across the whole agency. And last year at Lighthouse, almost 400 people involved as a volunteer in direct service work with our clients.
Wow, okay.
So in the emergency services work we do, this is a good example of that. Someone will come in with a particular need. They'll have no food at home. Maybe they've got an important prescription to fill and no way to fill it. Maybe they're stranded here from somewhere else. And they'll sit down and talk either to a member of our paid staff or to one of our trained volunteers. And we try to get to understand the person that's behind the problem and what we can best do to be of assistance. Many people ask for emergency food. Hunger's a big problem in the county. And last year, we were the largest distributor of emergency food in all of Oakland County. More
Great.
than 26,000 people over the course of the year came to us for that kind of help.
Okay, so you have services that's all year long.
That's right.
But mainly when the winter months come, there's a overabundance of individuals that may come at that point saying, well, you know.
That's true. You do see folks with the nature of the problem is a little different in the cold winter months. Many people come for utility assistance, for example, when the weather's cold. And both the folks who make donations to us as well as some grants that we get enable us to help people with their utility bills. Shelter is obviously a very important need in the winter months as well, and we deal with both homeless individuals and families to try to help them get through the immediate need and to get into a permanent place to live so that they can move forward in their life. The emergency services work, this one-on-one work that we do, is really at the heart of what we've been doing right since the very beginning. Lighthouse was founded by a group of churches in and outside of Pontiac because they wanted a more coordinated way to respond to the needs that people were bringing to their doors. That part of our agency has some special programs as well. We have an after-school program for children, for example, called Kids Cafe. About 60 kids come 4 days a week and 10 weeks in the summer. They get some help with homework, a nutritious meal, and some enrichment activities.
That's great.
It's a great program. You know, we have, to serve those young people, only about 2 full-time staff, but almost 40 volunteers who work directly with those youngsters. And the really interesting thing is that our intent is really not just to provide a safe place for kids to be in the non-school hours, but to make sure that they can close the learning gap with their peers. So there's a number of youngsters in that program who came in really struggling academically. Several of them are on the honors list now at school. They've really moved forward in important ways.
I know that's got to be regarded as a very high component because a lot of families find that their children, now some of that might be attributed to the children not having a nutritional meal.
That's right.
So they get to come there and have a nutritional meal
That's
along
right.
with getting tutored in their classwork.
We try to get to know these youngsters individually and to really know what their talents and gifts are and to try to foster and encourage that. It's difficult, I think, sometimes during the school day if you're a teacher and you have a classroom full of children, all with different needs and abilities. At a place like Lighthouse in our after-school program, we can focus on the individual learning abilities of a youngster. If they're struggling with reading, we spend extra time on reading. If they have a real interest in science, we try to structure the program so that they have more opportunity to learn more, do more in the area of science.
Okay. Well, John, we're going to take a commercial break, and ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back with some more good information about Lighthouse of Oakland County. Be right back.
Recent studies show babies who are breastfed are less likely to develop ear infections, respiratory illnesses, and diarrhea. Babies were born to be breastfed.
And welcome back to the show. For those of you who are just now joining us, we have Lighthouse of Oakland County with the CEO, John Zeraldo. Now, John, we left off with some very good information about Lighthouse, and I wanted to ask you about the PATH program. Is it Pathway?
Lighthouse Path.
Lighthouse PATH, okay. What is that program?
It's a transitional housing program. We're serving homeless women and children. So these are families that come to us out of an emergency shelter. Maybe they've been in a domestic violence shelters. Most of those places are places you can stay maybe 60 or 90 days. The families that come to us at Lighthouse Path come and stay for nearly 2 years. And while they're with us, mom is completing her education. She's getting some job training. She's really developing the life skills that she needs to be able to live independently.
Okay.
We serve about 60 families in this way. And the remarkable thing, Marcia, is that as families complete the program, 91% leave with a full-time job in a permanent place to stay. These are families who are not going to cycle back into homelessness. They're really prepared to live independently and successfully.
That's great.
It is a
That's
great
great.
thing.
That
and
is great.
and many of those families have young children, so we have a Montessori preschool program that's part of that program. In fact, last year we opened up a portion of the program to serve teenage pregnant and parenting moms as well. These are girls who are 16 to 19 years old. And so we created a partnership with the local school district and the intermediate school district so that those young women could complete their high school education. It's called Lighthouse for Learning. It's a very interesting program that last year enabled, out of 26 participants, 6 to complete a high school education just in their first year.
That's great. Okay.
It's a program that really helps and builds on people's sense of self-responsibility. So the supports that we provide and the shelter itself is very important. But you know, it's the plan that those moms create for their own lives that's so key to their success.
So you're actually restoring their self-esteem,
That's right.
you know, as well as providing them some of the tools and the skills to better equip themselves for a job or to handle utility bills or housing
That's
issues.
exactly right.
That's great.
So people learn how to manage their money, how to budget their life. They might learn how to be better moms to their own children.
Okay.
We have a variety of classes and supports, and we help people to really take a deep look at their life. You know, there's a mom in the program, I was just talking with her the other day. When she came to us, she'd had 1 or 2 college classes at a community college, but really hadn't thought of herself as someone who could complete, you know, get a college degree. She's now enrolled in the nursing program at Oakland County Community College. She'll have, she explained to me very carefully, I'll have my LPN in 6 months, and then it's another year and a half, and I'll be an RN.
Wonderful.
She has a plan for her own life and a clear sense of how each step along the way is going to help her to accomplish her goals.
You know, do you find that a lot of people that you service, when they come back, they always want to give back?
That's a very good question. In Lighthouse Path, this is a great example. Alumni, as we call them, women who've graduated from the program, frequently come back and sit down and talk with those who are now in the program about how they've been able to be successful, about how to face the challenges in their own life, about what to expect when they graduate and move out on their own.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of mentoring that they get from women who've been through a very similar life experience is really exciting. And it's great to see women who themselves have worked so hard on their own life able to help somebody else take some of the same steps forward. It's a lot of fun to work with.
Right. I can imagine, you know, the gratification that you all get from that, because in actuality, to have someone come back and say, well, this program helped me greatly, and I know it can help you, strengthens the person who's currently in the program to understand that you can succeed.
And you know, when we tell people that 90% of these families succeed when they complete the program, it's encouraging for people who volunteer and support us. Maybe they make a contribution, but it's also encouraging to people who are in the midst of the struggle. We say, you're going to make it. Yes, this is a difficult day, but if you stick with it, if you work hard, if you keep your eye on the goals that you've set for your life, you're going to succeed. Lots of other women have as well.
Okay, great. Now tell us about your senior program, because, you know, we recognize the fact that you do something wonderful for our elders.
And you know, it's a part of the population that's growing as well.
Yes.
In our emergency services work, we recognized that there were many seniors who were living at home, but they were pretty isolated. They didn't have family or friends who helped look after them. And so we began to put together a program that we call Caregivers. There's a group of volunteers, maybe almost 40 volunteers now, who go out and visit these seniors once a week. We bring them fresh fruits and vegetables. We make sure they're getting to that doctor appointment that's important, that they're connected to the outside world, that there aren't issues or concerns or problems cropping up in their life that would force them to prematurely leave their home.
Okay.
And we actually have a get together with the whole group of seniors about once a month at our office. They come in for a meal, and there's usually something fun to do, or an educational program, or just a chance to get together with one another.
Now, how do the seniors find out about you?
Well, again, sometimes they're people that we come in contact with because there's been some crisis. Maybe the first time we see them, there's a difficulty with the utility shut-off, or a furnace is broken down and they need some help getting it repaired, or any of a variety of things. And our staff recognize, here's someone who we can help them through this immediate problem, but they're going to need some ongoing support. And so we have a couple of full-time staff working in that program along with those volunteers, and we do a careful assessment of each senior. We sit down and really look at who's in their life to be supportive, what kinds of medical needs they might have, what is their emotional and support systems in their lives, to really figure out whether this is a senior who could really use someone to keep track of them and pay attention.
Now, I know all this goodness can't be a secret, so do you guys have a phone number, 800 number, or something? Because somebody's probably sitting there saying, now, I have a relative that lives in Oakland County,
Right.
or I know someone, or me myself lives here. What number do I call?
Well, folks can reach us by calling our number 248-920-6000.
Okay.
I'll say it again,
Yep.
248-920-6000. If people wanted to learn more about Lighthouse, they could also check out our webpage on the internet, and that's at www.lighthouseoakland.org.
Okay, and you got to give that again.
Okay, www.lighthouseoakland.org.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't know it, but if you are looking for the structure, it has a lighthouse type tower.
We
So
do.
I was
It's-
impressed with that. It was
we actually do have a
the name
lighthouse.
of the is Lighthouse of Oakland County, and believe me, it's in a lighthouse. Okay, so I mean the top part. So that was very unique, and I had the chance to see it. I was like, that's Lighthouse.
It is
And
unusual.
Nice building, nice building. So
Thank you.
the name goes right along with the
Thank you.
structure. Okay. Now, you know what, John? I'm telling you, a lot of our viewers, and I mentioned to you off camera earlier that a lot of people don't read or can't read or,
You bet.
don't have a lot of time to read, and we like to focus in on services that are out there that people say, well, I heard about you by watching Just Ask, and
Right.
it gives insight on the time frame from not having the ability to be able to read something. So it always fills in the gap for it, and we really do appreciate you coming. I mean, the program for the teen moms, the program dealing with the single parenting or, broken home, and the entire unit of shelters and stuff like that that's involved, and the senior services most of all, because seniors get caught up every year around the same time with no one to connect with or no services. And I keep wondering, how is it in the world that we allow our seniors to fall through the cracks? When if you paid your dues in society, you've been in the war, you fought for civil rights, you've done everything, in your time that you could. Now it's time to relax or to be at peace of mind.
Right.
Why is it so hard for the seniors?
I think it's difficult in a number of ways. One of the big things about the world around us is that if you're not mobile, if you're not out and about, your connections with other people begin to diminish. And this is an area where I'm particularly concerned about seniors, is that when they're living in an isolated way, there's nobody calling to make sure that they're okay or coming by to visit. If you can't go out of your home, and this is often true for the disabled as well, they live lives that are isolated from the rest of us. And that means if we care for them, that we have to go out of our way to find them, to connect with them. So part of the Caregivers program, for example, is just simply making a phone call to a senior every week to make sure that they're okay. How are you doing? And have you heard from your daughter or your nephew or your cousin or whomever it might be who's helping? And I think part of what the human community means is that we have to recognize when we have to do more for someone else around us than we would for somebody else. So making sure that your family members can get to church on Sunday, for example, is a very important thing. It's not just good for us spiritually, it's good that way too, but it's also good in terms of our emotional well-being. And sometimes small problems grow to be big ones, and if we're in touch with the people around us and really understanding what's happening in their life, we can deal with problems when they're still small and haven't grown to be, large and get to be something that's overwhelming.
That's great.
The program that we do, the supports that we provide are really intended to not only deal with a crisis, but to make sure that people are on a stable footing and can significantly move forward. It means seeing the problem in the context of someone's entire life. This is why volunteers are just as good at the work as anyone who's a member of my paid staff, because the fundamental skill is caring for another person the way we'd care for a family member. It's the same sort of concern that we bring to every single encounter.
Well, I can tell you from that comment alone, that's why you're the CEO. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break because I tell you, you know what? When you're into this seat right here and you get to hear heartwarming and felt stories from individuals like John, you got to know that we do it from the heart. So we'll be right back.
My nerves stand on end. My palms sweat, and everything's a blur. The rush is so intense. All I want to do is get even higher.
Andrea Moretti is under the influence of her local teen center volunteer. Each month, she helps Andrea stay on top of the world and off drugs. Be a coach, a mentor, a volunteer, because you have something to offer.
And welcome back to the show. For those of you who are just now tuning in, we're at the last half of the show. Let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. I ended with a note telling you how heartfelt this is. And it is, because one reason you have to realize that there are a lot of wonderful people in the world who believe in providing some type of resource, assistance, volunteering, caring for others. And we here at Just Ask just so happen to have a compassion for these organizations who come forth and tell us what they do for the seniors, the disabled, women and children, and men who are low income, no income, and in shelter programs. So any of these services that you hear about, please feel free to give us a call here at Just Ask, or check out our website, or if the guest gives you a phone number, call it. Stop by and see them. Let them know that you heard about them on Just Ask Talk Show and that you are in need of some assistance. So without further ado, now John, I had to say that because there's somebody out there that when this program airs is going to say, oh, I've never heard of these people. Oh my God, I'm glad I had a chance to find out more about them.
Great.
Okay. But I wanted to ask you about your community development program.
It's the third part of the agency, and we've been working in Pontiac for almost 10 years now, trying to help the residents of what's called Unity Park, the neighborhood we're located in, address the problems and concerns in their community. So we've worked with residents, community leaders, and local churches and so on to try to identify problems and work together to address those. The work that we've focused on in the last 7 years especially has been to improve the quality of housing in the neighborhood. In fact, right now we're building single-family homes for first-time home buyers. These are all working poor families who otherwise would not be able to afford to get into a home. We've just completed construction on our 60th home. We've done another 20 rehabilitations in the neighborhood. The effect is really amazing. Folks who we don't have direct contact with are putting their own efforts into their own homes. You can see them working to sort of improve the quality of the streets and neighborhoods around us. And for the families that purchase those homes, what they're finding is that property values around them are rising, and that's good for them.
Okay.
You know, the family that purchased our 50th home last summer, he's a cook in a fast food restaurant. She works as an aide in a hospital in Pontiac. They've got a couple of small boys. This is not a family that otherwise would have been able to afford a home, but by working with Lighthouse, they were able to do that. And the key there was helping them to manage their finances.
Okay.
When they first came to us, their credit was really terrible. And so we sat down with them month after month with their bills, helped them figure out how to manage those finances. They've improved their credit score, were able to qualify for a mortgage. You know, the most important thing for me about our work with that family is that in 10 to 15 years, when it comes time for them to send those two boys off to college, they're going to be able to borrow against the equity of their home.
Great.
The home will have held its value, and the community itself is better as a result. It's really important work, because often rising out of poverty is as much about what you own as what you earn.
Oh yeah.
And so being able to accumulate assets that will hold their value over time is key to success and getting into the economic mainstream for many working poor families.
Okay. Now, you know, I know you have a big take on volunteerism, so
You bet.
give us your speech about volunteering
Well,
and
there
the
are
importance.
there's many ways for people to volunteer at Lighthouse. I've mentioned today work in our seniors, visiting seniors, folks who work in the after-school hours tutoring young people, volunteers who work directly one-on-one with people who come to us in crisis. These are folks just like you and me, not with any particular or special training. You don't need a degree in social work, or you don't have to be a psychiatrist or anything. All you need is really a willingness to give of yourself and some time. It's important to be able to commit yourself to the work. People do volunteer work as well in their own community. There are folks who host, for example, food drives to raise some of the food that we need in our pantry. There are groups that come in and do special programs. There's a group of women, for example, that once a month do a birthday party for the kids staying with us in our transitional shelter program. At the holiday time of the year, there are families that work with us to help collect and distribute this season maybe 1,600 Thanksgiving baskets. And over the course of the holidays at the end of the year, there's an Adopt a Senior and Adopt a Family program. And so if a family wants to reach out and help another family during the holidays, there are many, many ways for them to do that.
So this is every year?
Every year.
Every year.
And throughout the year, there are lots of ways for folks who can come during the workday and give us some time. There's a lot of opportunity for people maybe who are working and have time in the evening or on the weekends. There are also ways to do that.
Well, then we need that website and we need that phone number again.
If anyone's interested in volunteering or supporting us really in any way, they could give us a call. Our number's 248-920-6000, 248-920-6000. And if they want to read about the work that we're doing, even if they want to send us an email asking a question, they could go to our website. That's www.lighthouseoakland.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, John, we're going to take all that good information and compact it in this half-an-hour show and feed it to our viewers to let you know that, hey, Lighthouse of Oakland County is here for you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, don't ignore the services. Be a part of this. If you want to volunteer, please call the number. If you think you need some assistance, call the number as well. And we want to thank you so much, John.
Thank you for
Geraldo,
spending this time today.
you know what, I'm going to tell you something. People, every time I talk to somebody and I just get this warm feeling, it's really a good thing because I know that they're sincere about the work they do. And he definitely displayed that. And I want you to be able to communicate with Lighthouse of Oakland County. All right? So if you have a question, call us here at 248-988-0250 or check out our website at justastalkshow.org. We want to close with some video clippings of Lighthouse of Oakland County. You know, we had to have something good at the end. And I want to thank you. Who am I? Your host, Marsha Florence. And what do I always say? If you know someone with a disability or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.